Found footage films are really hard to pull off, and a lot of people don't like the genre. Well, here we have a new found footage horror film called Exhibit Number 8. But the question is it worth your time and should you be checking it out? Well, stick around and let's discuss it. When Bosnian-born Aisha and cameraman Elias team up to shoot a documentary on the mysterious disappearance of Aisha's brother, they cross paths with another film crew who are creating an even more sinister narrative. The film stars Nastaran Razawi Khorasani, Claudio Magaña Torres, Mike Reus, Coen van Vlijmen, and was directed by Ruben Broekhuis. So you may be thinking, oh gosh, a found footage horror film, Ryan, this is not my thing. And I would say that this is a genre that a lot of people don't really like, and I understand because of shaky cam, and it's just not a lot of people's cups of tea. And a lot of times I don't get screeners for these kinds of films, and also in theaters they don't do a lot of these either anymore. I was just hoping that it would be a half decent film, and I have to say that I actually did like this film. For starters, it is not a very shaky cam kind of film. It's in high definition. You have these two characters, Aisha and Elias. They're looking for Aisha's brother that disappeared at a Dutch refugee camp. And they don't waste any motion. They really get into the action very quickly. And both of our characters, they're very engaging, and you really want to learn more about both characters. When they get to this refugee camp, they're underlying this mystery that is unfolding before their eyes. I will say in negatives that when they get to this actual camp, it's very apparent that the person or persons that is behind this disappearance, they really show their cards off very quickly, so I can definitely dash that in my negatives for this film. The film, it really focuses heavily on refugees and how they are treated in other countries, and it's very apparent in this film that when they're trying to look for her brother, not a lot of people want to help, and especially the government, since it's not one of their own, they really push them to the side. And it also does mention a little bit in the film about people really idolizing murderers across the internet, of course. It doesn't really touch too much into that, but I would say the main subject here is really refugees disappearing from this Dutch refugee camp. In the beginning of the film, where they talk about refugees on this Netherlands camp, and a lot of these people disappear, and apparently a lot of children as well. The film is very clean and it's edited very well, and they use a handheld kind of VHS kind of style that they're trying to go for, while they also have some other cameras that are placed in different parts of the building of where they're actually staying at. And I think they did a really good job of editing this all together and making it feel like a very complete kind of film. I will say, even though this film, its genre is horror, I would say that it's kind of a dash of horror here and there. I think it's more so a mystery, suspense kind of film. Although I will say that there isn't a lot of music or really suspenseful kind of build-ups of music throughout this film, but I think overall the mystery itself is suspenseful enough, and I think the characters and the situations that they're actually in this film, it makes it very entertaining. It makes it very intriguing to actually find out what is going to happen next. But obviously there is some tropes in this film that you would see in a horror film, like a car not starting or certain things that characters do that you would see in other kind of horror films. But I will say that when we get to the twist and we get into towards the ending in the third act of the film, it definitely goes for it, the gusto here. It's very much off the rails, but when I say it's off the rails where it gets off track or anything like that, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that this film, it really goes for it in the third act, and it really tries to throw the audience off, and I think it did a really good job of doing that, because I really couldn't guess what was going to actually happen. And when actually the stuff that was actually revealed about this film and what was actually going on behind the curtain, it really did surprise me. It really did shock me. But I also found that even though that reveal was actually revealed, I really did like how they did that. I thought it was very clever, and I was on my edge of my seat the entire time with this film. Another thing that I really did appreciate of this movie is the fact that you have Aisha, who is a very much calmer kind of person and trying to look at this investigation from a more smarter perspective of actually being kind and generous, and feeling as if she should really kind of dumbed down her tone towards these people that they're talking to, while as Elias, he is very aggressive. He wants to know information right away and right that second. And his character is just a lot different, and you can really tell in this film that he really ticks off a lot of these people. And the differences between these characters and how when they're actually joining forces to actually try to find her brother, and the journey that they go through to try to accomplish this and try to find out the unraveling mystery of what happened to her brother. I found it to be very exciting and very engaging throughout this film, especially because you have these two characters for majority of the film, then you only have a few other characters that appear on screen, but really just focusing on these two characters, you really need two strong leads, and I think both leads here, they do a really good job of actually keeping you interested in the film and really caring about the journey and really caring about what is actually going on here, and even so bringing up the issue of the government not caring about these people at this refugee camp. As far as this film being a really scary film, and if you're really not into horror films, you probably would be really turned off at the fact that this is the horror genre, but I don't think it's too scary or something that would really turn off someone that's a non-horror fan. I think this can be watched by someone that really likes a suspenseful thriller kind of film. There are a few parts where there's some dark little alleyways, a little bit of blood here and there, but there really isn't scary moments, I would say. Like, you're not dealing with a monster or anything like that. You're not dealing with like a masked man or anything like that, or any kind of slasher kind of film. If you really don't like horror, I think that you could actually like this film because it really does explore more so in the mystery, suspenseful kind of thriller kind of way. But as far as a score for this film, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was a really solid film. I really did like the twist and the ending. However, it does bring up issues towards the end of what the actual sister was actually involved in. It does bring up other issues of humanity, things that you do and do off the deep end. Is it really all worth it in the end? And what actually happened in the end, is it something that you can really sit back and say, well, that was really worth it in the end? That's really the biggest point that I got out of this film. But thank you guys for watching this review. Let me know in the comments, have you checked this film out, or are you going to check it out? It is available to watch on VOD now, but I believe it's only available to watch in the US right now. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on my next review.